game favorite, please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, the one, the only, Zach Aguilar! Well, sir, welcome back. Day 3. How's it been going?
It's been going awesome, especially because last night I finally got like a full 8 hours of sleep. The time change, a 9-hour time difference, definitely hits you when you come from California.
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, the good news is we're at sea level, so at least that you haven't had to experience the dryness of Johannesburg.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they're at like the same height as Denver.
Ooh.
So.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
That's
so you
rough.
get to travel around. So what has been your most memorable experience this weekend?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I've had so much fun already, just like meeting all the people. People have been coming up to me, asking me. People have asked me if I was like going to the Johannesburg one too, and I'm like, I don't know yet, but I hope so. I would love to. Already, I would love to come back. So if they want to have me back, I will go.
I mean, that's usually all it takes. So usually what happens is you just have to tell Renee and Nicole and Carol, like, hey, I want to come, and they'll be like, okay, cool. So it's a really hard contract negotiation they do here.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Very difficult.
Yeah, basically, would you want him to come back? So look, it's really that simple. So now, now you've got them on your side. So
yeah.
What has been the strangest thing that you have eaten while here in South Africa?
I just had some fruit that I hadn't heard of before at breakfast today. You like scoop it out and it's really sour. I don't know what it was called.
All right, sour fruit.
I haven't had anything too crazy, but I am spending some extra time out here after the event, so I'll probably go around and try all of the stuff.
Yes, that's definitely the way to go about it.
Yeah.
So, for the folks that haven't been here the last couple days, because Saturday's our big day where everybody comes in, you've talked about it before. I'm going to ask you to talk about it again, and that is how you got started, because it's not the way most people get started. It was a little different.
Yeah, getting started like doing voiceover. I mean, as a kid, I took a lot of acting classes. I did on camera as a kid, so I did a lot of like commercials, print work, small little feature films and whatnot. What happened was I really loved anime, and I loved like voice acting in general. I played a lot of video games. I grew up playing Halo and Kingdom Hearts and just all sorts of stuff like that. So I was really fascinated with voiceover. I took a lot of acting classes, voice acting classes, and then I went to a convention out in California called Anime Expo, and I ended up auditioning for their voice acting competition in 2014. And I won the voice acting competition, and it was kind of like a slow snowball to like my career now. Yeah, the company that like ran the competition, they cast for Demon Slayer, One Punch Man, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I was fortunate enough to be in all of those.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Again, the resume. Look, we talked about it yesterday. Like, you went from like 0 to 100 like very, very quickly. That's not really normal in this industry. Do you have any guesses about why that might have happened that way?
I mean, honestly, because it is true. Some people ask me like, what are you doing? Like, what's the secret? Are you like emailing these casting directors? Like, what do you? I'm like, no, I don't know. I just get the audition and I send it in and say a prayer, kind of. But I think just being a sponge, right? Like learning how to absorb information from other people, especially like other actors who have been doing this way longer than I have. I'm always curious to see what they say. But yeah, no, I've been super fortunate. It is kind of insane looking back on it now. I've been able to kind of sort of have my foot in a bunch of different franchises, like, being a part of Super Smash Brothers, being in Square Enix games, right? Like Final Fantasy VII Remake, and also Nier. I played young Nier and Nier Replicant, and World of Warcraft. I even worked with Blizzard. I mean, it's pretty nuts thinking about it now, because I grew up with all of those different franchises. So to like be a part of them is surreal. Yeah.
So how do you deal with you send the audition in and you don't hear back, and then you see it's been, someone else has been cast, so I guess the rejection, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually, because rejection is like, I think that's the hardest part of doing this. People don't realize that it really does get to you, and it's not for everyone, truly. Like, I have been rejected probably 10,000 times. But I don't know, I send off an audition, give it my all, and if I don't hear anything, I usually forget that I did the audition. Because there's so many auditions to do. There was a time when I was doing about 50 auditions a week. So typically, like, if you're a voice actor and you're auditioning for all these different projects, they say that you're doing a good job if you get every 1 out of 100 auditions. I've been very fortunate. Luckily, like, my booking rate is a little bit higher than that, so hopefully I get, a few at least out of every 100.
How do you keep coming up with new voices? Like, do you feel like maybe you've run out, or what do you do in order to, keep them fresh in your head?
I don't know. Every character, I try to approach it differently. And when people come up to me and they say, oh man, like, I watched Cyberpunk Edge Runners and I didn't even realize that you're the same guy that does Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. That's crazy. To me, I think that's a huge compliment. But ultimately, when I'm doing a character or a new role, I'm not really thinking about how the character sounds like compared to another character I've done. I'm just focusing specifically on that one role. So there are points, I think, where you can only change your voice so much. And when I'm doing the really emotional scenes and like the screaming and stuff, I'm not thinking about like, how do I make sure it sounds like this certain way? I'm just trying to keep the emotion raw and give it my all. So if it does sound like Tanjiro when I'm screaming as David, then it's like, cool. I mean, he's also a part of me too.
So you kind of built, the skills that you needed, kind of like building a house. So what kind of bricks helped you build that house? Like, you talked a little bit about, you did some acting stuff when you were younger. What else was involved in getting you to the, to the start of your career?
Yeah, so one thing that's helped me a lot is singing training. It's helped me like control my breathing, like total concentration breathing. So singing training's helped me a lot, just with being able to change my voice too, and like
go down through my registers.
So that's been cool, right? Like that's my little party trick. That character that's like my Moon Carver voice from Genshin Impact, if you guys play Genshin. So yeah, singing training helped a lot. Just acting in general. Improv is awesome because when we go into a recording booth, sometimes I get a call from my agent and he says, hey, guess what? You're working on this big video game. You're working on the new Final Fantasy, and they have like a character for you and some like background characters too that they want you to play. I go into like literally working on a job. I have a role and I'm getting paid to do this, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Like literally they throw me in a soundproof room, and right then and there, they give me a character. They're like, okay, cool. Your character's 17. He's working at like the Chocobo stable, and he's talking to the main character. Here's the first line. Give him a voice. Make him real. And that's how it works. We just kind of like have to go. So improv, I would say, if you're interested in acting in general, is a huge, huge lifesaver.
So there's clearly a difference between, dubbing an anime and recording for a video game. What's the biggest difference between the two?
I think the biggest difference would be the time constraint, because when we're working on an anime, everything is very limited. You have to follow the writing that is given to you because it has to fit in the already animated mouth flaps. For video games, sometimes we do have the same time constraints. They'll say, hey, here's a line, you have to say it within 2 seconds or less. But sometimes when there are no time constraints, those are my favorite lines to work on and record because I get to take a sentence and make it my own. I don't have to think about, it has to fit within this time frame. So I don't have to say it very super fast. I can actually take my time, take pauses, and just make it authentic as possible.
So what's been the shortest script that you've had to record versus the longest script you've had to record?
The shortest script would probably be either Ether from Genshin or Byleth from Fire Emblem. For example, when I did Ether in Genshin, I went into the booth and the director, they actually booked me for 4 hours, which for voiceover, that is the longest time period they'll book you for. And the director's like, oh man, we have so much to do. You have hundreds and hundreds of lines. And this was the first ever recording session for the game, ever. And they didn't realize on the Excel file that Paimon's lines were grouped in with my lines. So when I went in, they separated the two. They separated me from Paimon finally in the Excel sheet, and they said, oh, you're going to be done in 5 minutes. And I said, what? But they booked me for 4 hours. And they're like, yeah, your lines were grouped with Paimon's, and your character doesn't really talk. So I was like, huh? And then I went in and I did all of the grunts. I went, huh, 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 and that was it. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, Windblade, and yeah, then I was done. And then I cried.
What about the longest one? What was the thickest?
Oh, wow. Probably the Demon Slayer game, the Hinokami Chronicles. We were working on that one for what felt like forever. Every single day I would have a 4-hour session. I would go through all of the lines, all the dialogue. Tanjiro is he's narrating the scenes in his head while he's also doing the actions of the game. So he's like, there's a demon up here, I have to go do this, blah, blah, blah. And he's talking about something. And then I would do all of the screaming, all the Hinokami Kagura forms, all the water breathing forms. And that was my life for 2 or 3 months, just every single day recording for this game, and thousands of lines. And then finally, when we got to the very last one, it was wow, I can't believe we did it.
That's awesome. So what was a character that you auditioned for that you were the most excited to get?
I think it was Genos in One Punch Man, actually. Because I had read the original webcomic of One Punch Man, and it was a very hype show. Before Demon Slayer, a lot of people are probably thinking, why is it not Demon Slayer? Because before I got the auditions for Demon Slayer, I actually didn't know what it was. I hadn't kept up with the manga until I was cast as the role, and then I read the entire thing. But One Punch Man was the one that I was a fan of the web series. I thought just being in the show, period, would be a dream. So I auditioned for it. I freaked out. I was like, there's no way I'm going to get one of these characters. And then they called me and said, hey, congrats, you got Genos. But it was a very rigorous auditioning process for One Punch Man. They put me through 4 different callback auditions, and then finally the team from Japan approved me and said, all right, this is our guy. And I was 16 or 17, I think, when I played Genos for the first time. So it was a big deal. It was huge. That was like my first truly big role.
So what are you into now? Like, what's your what are you currently watching or reading, or something that you can recommend to our fans out here?
I really like Invincible. I like The Boys. I mean, Avatar: The Last Airbender too is a classic. What else? There's just so many good shows out right now, and it's hard to keep track of them all. Especially because like all of these people, all the different actors, we run into each other at Comic-Cons and whatnot. So I get to meet every single person. It's kind of surreal. I collect Pokemon cards too, like the PSA ones. I love Pokemon. I have my entire life. I don't know. I'm just trying to think. There's too many things.
Is there a current Pokemon card that's on your holy grail list of something you haven't gotten yet?
Oh yeah, like the OG Charizard that costs like more than a house. You know what I mean?
And of course, it probably doesn't hurt that you'll stroll through a Comic-Con and there's one sitting right there that you can look at and be like, oh, my precious. Were there any voice actors that you saw or any actors that you saw that helped influence you into how you work?
Definitely. Growing up and like wanting to be a part of this industry, I studied other voice actors relentlessly. I was a very obsessed 14-year-old when I was trying to get into all of this. Johnny Young Bosch was a person I really look up to. Yuri Lowenthal. Tom Kenny, just all these legendary people. Even Miley Flanagan, who does the voice of Naruto, too, and now she's become a friend of mine, which is, it's insane. Like, I can't believe, I know these people. Even like Chris Sabat and Sean Schemmel, the voices of Goku and Vegeta, like, those guys are awesome, and they're friends of mine. Like, they call me, like Sean will be like driving in his car and he'll give me a call and we just talk about life or whatever. I mean, it's just insane. I'm like, I cannot believe I have Goku like calling my phone right now. What is going on? And it's just him. He just sounds like Goku.
And those are great moments to have to realize, because I'm sure too that it's that validation of like, here's somebody who's in the industry and they're looking at me as an equal and making the phone call, and that's really cool. That's absolutely fantastic. What kind of advice would you give to people that wanted to start getting into voice acting? Where should they start? What should they do?
Do acting. Like, look at yourself as like an actor, not just voiceover. Do acting, do theater, learn how to control your voice, learn how to enunciate and read out loud. I would take every single type of acting class that you can, because I do think that people who excel in this industry are people who kind of have a mix of different acting styles. And what I mean by that is, voiceover and over enunciating every single word that you say. That is it's a skill in itself. And then theater being like very, very theatrical, very out there, yes! Like, that's a whole other skill. And then there's on camera, right? And you think about cinematic, for example, if anybody has seen Wicked, like, you go and watch Wicked. I've seen Wicked 3 times on Broadway, and then you go watch the movie and you're like, wow. Like, the characters are very similar, but the way that they're portrayed is so different. They're not like as out there, as character-y. They're more cinematic and real, and they talk like this. Like, it's just a different sort of style. So I would study every single type of acting style you can, take acting classes, voice acting classes, make a demo reel, and look to just research like your local market too, to see where recording studios are, who's casting. I mean, all this information is out there on Google. If there's a studio that you really want to work with, you can look up the credits of a game. For example, like Genshin Impact or even Demon Slayer, right? You look up the credits of the studio, you can see exactly where it's produced and what studio has cast for that game, and now you kind of know, okay, cool. so I need to make a connection with this studio to ultimately receive an audition. And then, you know, if you're able to get that audition, just getting the audition is like a blessing, right? Like, to be able to have an opportunity at a role is crazy. And then if you actually book the role, congrats, you did it.
Are there any mistakes you made early on in your career that you wish you could go back and give yourself advice not to do?
That's a good question. Nothing like so detrimental, I feel like I would go back and tell myself not to do it, because I think failure is ultimately a part of the process, and embracing being an actor is embracing failure, right? Like, you can't expect yourself to succeed right away. It's more about, like, every single time that you audition for something and maybe you're rejected, or, you know, things don't work out for you, you should take it as just a learning experience. Like, okay, cool, now I kind of know how to pivot and what else I can do to improve myself. So I think just embracing, like, you know, I don't know what it is. There's probably an old saying about it, like, celebrating your failure ultimately is like growth towards success or something. You know what I mean, right? Like, I don't know. I'm bad at articulating.
That's okay. So usually getting started out, for people that are starting out in the industry, a lot of folks are asked to do things for free or for exposure. How much of that did you do in the beginning, and when did you make the decision that, hey, I need to be paid for what I'm doing?
Yeah, I would say there was a lot of stuff I did to start out, or like I would get paid, but it was very minimal. I think that's a good question, because it's hard to answer. It really is different for everybody. I think I did a lot of stuff early on that kind of helped me practice for the future. And eventually it got to a point where I was so busy, I could literally not even think about this. Like, you know, something had to give, something had to go off of my plate. So then it kind of turned into, okay, only these like big roles or this like super ultra professional work is going to become my main focus, and everything else kind of slowly fades. And I think at that point in your career, when you're just so busy and you have all these other opportunities lined up, you kind of have to pick what you want to focus on. So that, I would say, that was probably like a big turning point for me.
Well, we've had a fantastic weekend with you. You've still got one more day. Where can everybody find you today?
I will be upstairs in the, do you know what room it's called?
Photos and autographing.
Photos and autograph room. That is where I have been for the past 2 days. But it's been absolutely awesome meeting all of you guys, and I would love to meet you all again, or if we haven't met, please come by, and I would love to chat if you have a question or something specific about one of the franchises I've worked on, or voice acting, or whatever it is. I would love to chat with you. So come see me upstairs.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Comic-Con, Cape Town, please do me a favor, put your hands together for Zach.